Hello, you all. Welcome to the channel, In Pursuit of Life with Sabrina. Today, I want to talk about my right heart catheterization that I had done on June 26th. And I've been wanting to post about it. However, I needed to wait until I got more information as to what we were doing. But I'm not getting the information quick enough. And I know that some of you all were praying and were following me through this, especially the fear of what would happen or what might happen. And I just felt like it was time to go ahead and update you all. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope I can encourage you today and by sharing the reality of what healing looks like. That's what I do on this channel, In Pursuit of Life. I am literally pursuing life. I was diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago, and it was breast cancer, and it was in the lymph nodes. And I am today, 10 years later, this month I'm celebrating 10 years. 10 years later, I am suffering with side effects of long-term side effects from chemotherapy and radiation. And so that's where I am. And we also, in the process of doing that, we found why my heart would hurt all the time. We found a heart defect. And so all of that is going to play into my update. So welcome and welcome back. Now you all, I have the right heart catheterization Thursday, and I'm trying to make sure I stay focused because I have a tendency when I'm trying to think to look a certain way, and I'm noticing that. So I'm learning how to just look straight at the camera. So if you see me do that, that's something I'm trying to stop doing. And I know there's got to be a neurological reason I do it. I'm going to do some research into that because I love doing medical research. It's like a love of mine. Anyway, so let me also straighten this camera out. So anyway, you all, so I had the catheterization done on the right heart cath, and what we are looking for, okay, we found, I'm going to go back. Some of you all who watch the channel, you already know this, but this is for new people. In 2023, I was on we were in a 2-year journey of trying to figure out why I was so weak. August 12th of 2021, I woke up and I felt okay. About 5 o'clock, energy was gone. It just hit that quick. And so we spent 2 years trying to figure out what was going on. We found growths in my liver, but they're not growing and they don't look to be menacing. So we're fine. There's about 6 growths and some other cysts and stuff. Liver seems to be doing okay. It's functioning fine. It could be genetics. With the stuff we're finding out, it probably is genetic, but I hope not. But even if it is, we could get rid of it, and God could do a miracle. And He's done them before. And I'm going to go back through and tell my story again because it's been a lot of miracles in the midst of all the trials. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. While we were looking for that, we found some nodules in the lungs. And so my cardiologist, not the cardiologist, but the oncologist, which is the cancer doctor, she was watching them. And in watching them, they found the heart defect, which is called, it's a long name, upper left lobe partial anomalous pulmonary venous return. And what that means is the way your body works is your blood, your lungs purifies your blood, comes through 4 different vessels. They go into your left ventricle, which pumps that oxygenated blood through the rest of your body real quick, and it comes back up through the right ventricle, back into the lungs to be re-oxygenated. Okay, that's how it works. But with me, I was born like this. 2 of my vessels don't go down, they go directly to the right ventricle. The problem with that is the right ventricle is not that thick. They called it, one of my doctors called it kind of whimsy, because all it needs to do is just pump blood back up to the lungs. Well, it's been working extra hard all my life, and that's some of the reasons why I would pass out while doing sports. I would have tremendous pain doing really hard things. And so in my heart, and I would just feel like I had to lay down. I would feel it throughout the body. Well, we just found this, but I've had the effects of it all my life. And they would check my heart. They checked my heart for years trying to figure out what was going on. And they're like, well, we don't know what's going on. We can't find anything. Well, they didn't know what they were looking for. So anyway, what happens is 2 of the vessels go over to the right side of the brain, takes oxygenated blood to the right ventricle, which is already taking the load of deoxygenating blood, and it's sending it right back up. So that right ventricle has been working very, very hard. Now in 2023 is when we found this, 2022 or 2023, end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023. So now we can't help but see it. You know, every CT scan, every MRI, they see it, and they notice it. They put it on their results. Well, with that, we have found out that that right ventricle is showing some damage. Now, the cardiologist I was seeing before was saying, oh, it's no big deal. It's a little damage. But the pulmonologist that I just saw said, oh, it's a big deal because that side of the heart is flimsy. So a little bit damage to something that's already flimsy is something we need to take note of. Now, the reason he is in the picture is because, first of all, those nodules we were watching in the lungs, one of them have completely disappeared, which I believe is just a miracle, because I've been eating healthy and I've been exercising and I keep my immune system built up. So I know that that's the way the body's able to fight. I've never stopped doing all the things that I was doing before cancer. In fact, I'm doing it even more so. So anyway, but in the lungs in 2023, they saw that I had a partial lung collapse, and I also had some scarring in the lungs. And we know that that was most likely from the radiation that I had to the breast, the right breast. It caused damage to the lungs, because back then they didn't block radiation. And so anyway, and I'm giving you all of this information because you're going to need it when I talk about what's going on. So anyway, this year we did a CT scan, my primary, because we did it for the oncologist, and we also did it because the pulmonologist I saw before said, it's no big deal. You have some lung collapse, scarring. He was just, I'm not even gonna say something. I'm gonna say what me and my new pulmonologist say. He's special. But I did report him, you all, because he was wrong. Because I did some research and found out that is very major. And so, anyway, this new pulmonologist, I knew that I was going to see him, but it took a long time to see him. So we went on and did a CT scan, found out the 2 nodules in the lungs, one disappeared, one is almost disappeared. So my body's doing its job when it comes to that. However, the scarring in the lung looks to be worse. And there is bronchiectasis, I think that's how you pronounce it. But that means the bronchial tubes are damaged. It's on both sides. And that means the bronchial tubes aren't closing like they need to, which causes issues, which I started coughing a lot and having even more trouble breathing. And I started wheezing when I would go up steps during humid and cold weather, and I never wheezed before. And that's what made us do the first initials, that was what made us to keep watching the lungs past the nodules. So I got to get my MRI and CT scans, just get them straight, because there was different reasons why we did each one. The MRI was first, then the CT scan came almost 2 years later. So the CT scan is the latest one where we saw all of this damage, and the lung collapse is still there. But the pulmonologist, when he looked at everything, and we talked about my symptoms from the time I was a child, he said he thinks that I most likely have had asthma all my life. And I'll talk about that in another video. I'm not going to go into all of that. But he gave me a rescue inhaler. But one of the things I am going to do is I'm going to talk about how I'm using that rescue inhaler, not as much, because of some other natural things that I'm using to help open up my lungs. And I only use it when I absolutely have to. So anyway, that's coming in a later video, so be watching, okay? I'm excited about that. But So back to the story. We so we're doing the I mean, he was talking about the lungs, and he wanted to do some procedures, but he needed to make sure that the right side of my heart was strong enough. Hence is why we were having the right heart catheterization done, because that way he could also get a look at what was going on in the lungs, possibly too, as they were taking pictures and also, you know, taking measurements of what's going on in the heart. Well, I went in to do that. It was June 26th. One of my friends, Angela, Vara, and my daughter, Gabrielle, one of my daughters, went with me. And I don't even want to go into details about it, because it was not, the experience was upsetting. First of all, and it was upsetting from the standpoint of, I wish the cardiologist that I'm seeing right now was just more personable, but he's not. So because of that, I feel like that affected my experience. But they told me to pack just in case I had to stay, because if I had pulmonary hypertension, I was going to have to stay in the hospital, or something else. If the right ventricle was worse off, then they were going to, you know, have to admit me. So anyway, so he did the procedure, and it hurt, y'all, because this whole area is already in pain and has been in pain for years. So what would not have hurt if I was not already inflamed and in pain hurt. They had to put the IV in my neck because I had lymph nodes removed from under my arm. So we can never use this right arm for IVs or for taking blood, because it could cause issues. So they had to put it in my neck, and it felt like a bunch of bee stings as they put it in. And he, you know, the medicine in, they didn't give me a local, they gave me a local anesthesia, or anyway, pain medicine. Local anesthesia, that's the word. But they gave me that, and it felt like a bunch of bee stings. They said I shouldn't feel anything after that, but that was not true. As he pushed the IV in there, I didn't really feel that, but as he pushed in the tube to go in, and then he, you know, he did some measurements and stuff, and then he put in the wire, I felt it, you all. It wasn't excruciating pain, but it was enough to where tears were running down my eyes, and it felt very uncomfortable. And I was hearing them do the numbers, and as they were testing the heart, you know, my faithful heart that God has blessed me with, that even though it's been not running like it should all these years, was pumping strong. Boy, those numbers were coming back consistent. But then when he got to where the lungs are, I heard him say something like, oh, that's a lot of oxygen. He said, do that test again. So he did it again, and he's okay. And he went and he left, and I never saw him, because they said they were going to put a paper over my face, put in the IV, then take it off. He never took it off my face. This blue piece of surgical paper was on my face the whole time. I was awake the whole time, no anesthesia, and I could hear them talking, and he was so, it was like, I guess surgery is his happy place, because they were having a great talk and everything, and I'm just sitting there in pain, okay? And but they're getting the numbers they need, and I'm get tears, and they can't see the tears because they got my face covered the whole time. And I'm not gonna move because he's got a tube inside of me and a wire a little later. So anyway, so that happened, and at the end of it, they ended, and that's when they saw that I was crying, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "It hurt." And they're like, you know, basically acting like it shouldn't have hurt, and what's going on? Was it the lidocaine? Was I not used to the local anesthesia? I said, no, it's not that. It's right here. And I was showing them where it hurt. So they got me back to the room, and I started shaking a little bit. And they got me back to the room, not because I was cold, but because my body felt like it had been traumatized, I guess. And it, you know, it was. They put a tube and a wire in my throat, and it hurt me. And so I get back to the room, and I'm telling them it hurts and everything. And my friend Angela and my daughter are, you know, listening to everything. And then they tell me that the doctor came in and talked to them and said, the heart is great. And that seemed to be the only thing he was concerned about. But he said, oh, but there's some oxygen sitting in her lung. And that was it. And they didn't know what that meant. And he didn't explain. He was gone. I was like, that could explain the pain. So I'm sitting there with this pain in the middle of my chest and just hurting. And I finally asked them, can you give me something? And they said, well, what do you want? Which I'm like, what do I want? Y'all are the hospital. I just had a surgical procedure. And so I said, well, can I get some Tylenol? She said, we have to call the doctor, which to me, you all, that just didn't make sense. You just had somebody, you invaded their body, you know, to do a test to find out what was going on. And you don't have, and you didn't give me any anesthesia because you wanted true numbers. Because they said if it, you know, if it go long and I needed, they would give me anesthesia. Well, they wouldn't have known because they had the thing over my face the whole time and didn't ask me and weren't concerned. It seemed they were so easy having a conversation, which I'm glad they were happy, but they ignored me, except what was going on the inside. And so, well, I felt like they ignored me, but they were great, except I think it was just the doctor and just the way he does things. So I just want to backtrack and say that. But it was disconcerting to me because I didn't feel like anyone was asking me any questions, needed questions. And so afterwards, I'm having to say, well, can I have some Tylenol? So they came and gave me like 600 milligrams of Tylenol. I wasn't looking for the pain to completely go away. And they hooked me back up to the machines. And they were asking me, are you okay? Are you comfortable with going home? And I'm like, now I know why. Because now, okay, when I saw the My Chart thing and they posted everything, my oxygen level was pretty low afterwards. When they sent me home, my oxygen level was not where it should have been. And that was disconcerting. But anyway, so I got the pain under control and I went home. And you all, it has been, they made it seem like I would be able to just drive the next day. No. I have been so weak. I have been so much in pain. Like right now I'm in pain. I've not taken anything and I've been up all day, which normally I am not able to go this long. So this is the longest I've been up. And right now it's like 3 something. And so I need to go lay down and take some pain medicine. But for a while there I was taking Tylenol every 6 hours because the pain was so bad. And I was only up for 3 hours at a time, if that, and trying to sit up. And it's been a recovery process that I did not expect to be like that. But that's the way it affected my body. And so I've been waiting to hear from the pulmonologist as to what we're going to do next. So I hadn't heard anything really from them. I was just seeing the notes. I saw the note from the cardiologist that said, well, I saw the note that because it was all on my chart, and I saw the note that the pulmonologist, which is the lung specialist, who he sent to the cardiologist, and the pulmonologist was telling him why he thought we needed to do this to make sure the heart was strong. Well, then the cardiologist afterwards said the heart is strong. Go ahead. You are free to go ahead and do what you need to do. The heart can handle it. And so anyway, so that's where we are. And so since I hadn't heard anything, and I'm sorry, I keep saying, but I hadn't heard anything from the pulmonologist. So I messaged them today, asking them what were our next steps. I'm telling them that I'm still in pain. What does it mean that the oxygen has not left my lungs? What are we doing about that? And my mother-in-law, or former mother-in-law, she was a nurse, an RN, in the cardiology department of the hospital for years and years. And so she said what that means. She's never really heard of that before, she said, but she said that means that when I exhale, all the oxygen is not leaving my lungs. And I did some research, but I still don't know what that means. And he's the specialist. So I asked him, and what are we going to do about it? And so, because there were some other tests. I know we have an extensive breathing test that I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks. Or is it a couple of weeks? Yeah. And then I see him at the end of, it was in August. And then I see him at the end of August. But what are we going to do in between times? Because I am in pain, you all. I feel pain right here, like somebody's sitting on my chest. And we know it's not my heart. So what are we going to do? And they tell you when you have those types of symptoms to see a specialist. Well, I did see a specialist, and I am seeing a specialist. But what are we going to do about it? When do I go to the ER if I need to go to the ER? So these are all questions I need answered because I am in pain. But God has been good to me. I have survived all of this, and I will survive this. But the emotional strain on me has been hard. I have bottomed out as far as what was in my tank. So I've had this empty feeling, and I felt this way before when I was going through chemo or when I've been really, really sick in the past. Just this empty, just feeling like just void of life, even though I'm alive, just feeling empty. And I know it's because my body is healing and it's doing a lot right now. And it's just, I mean, I'm feeling it emotionally. It's just, I can feel it. So I'm going to do a whole series on what I do when I get this way, because I have gone through lots of therapy. I had a really bad divorce, just raising the kids. I had a child that was sick for years, and along with me not feeling well and just living, because I went with my divorce, I went from being financially stable to being poor with 3 kids. And then as soon as I got everything going, up and going financially again, I feel like I'm poor. I mean, it's from where I was, I don't have money. I don't have anything right now. Yeah, so anyway, so specialists have really helped me. So I have the tools, and I've done a lot of reading, and I know the tools to use when I feel this way. And so I've been using these tools, and that's what's kept me from bottling. I'm gonna give you an example. This is kind of what I would consider, see where my hand is. That's the lowest. That's bottomed out. I was right there, guys, 3 days ago. I woke up feeling like, I don't know if I can live. I don't have any desire. I wasn't depressed. I just felt the feeling of being bottomed out. And I knew I had to use my tools to get up. So today I'm like right here, like right above bottom. It's a working. And so I'm going to do a whole thing. I'm going to do shorts where I talk about the different tools I've learned and have been taught to help me come from the bottom to where I don't drown, to slowly building myself up. Plus still eating healthy, taking my vitamins, and moving around as much as I can. And taking pain medicine when I need to. Like right now, I need some pain medicine. I'm in so much pain. But anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. And you all, I am so grateful for the 88 subscribers. I never even thought I would go past the 39 I had for a long time. And that was usually that was family and friends. I only did this channel to update people close to me as to what my status was. So if something big happened, which it has happened, they could just watch the channel and get an update on it. And I've restarted the channel 3 times, but I feel like this is what the Lord has called me to do. So you all share the video. If my analytics show that there are more people who watch that are not subscribers. They just come through. So if you like this channel, if you like being encouraged and talking about being in pursuit of life, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, please share it, because I really want to reach as many people as I do. I'm just going to be obedient. If I'm going to do the channel, then I need to do it, and I need to do it well. And just open up. It's hard for me to open up, but it's important, because life is hard and we need each other. Well, you all remember to have courage in trouble, have courage in pain. Everything we do to move forward is not done in vain. Until next time, you all, bye.